Suho whirled around, his expression fierce, and urgently called out to Senior Lim, "The strike team's in serious danger. You need to get out of here now." Senior Lim looked at him, bewildered by Suho's sudden urgency. "What's going on? Where's this coming from?" he asked. Suho, resolute, replied, "Just trust me. My instincts are screaming at me." Without waiting for further questions, he swiftly summoned 2 goblins, instructing them to escort Lim to safety. Lim, still processing, asked, "And what about you?" Suho's response was firm and unexpected. "I'm going after them." Understanding the gravity of Suho's determination, Senior Lim quickly realized that staying would only slow Suho down. "Fine, but I'll bring reinforcements from the Hunter Association as soon as I'm out," he promised. Suho nodded his thanks. Shedding his protective suit, he summoned Gray from the shadows, a surprising move considering Gray's confinement to the shadow dungeon. But there was no time to question how he'd done it. As Gray materialized, Suho activated his bonding skill and slipped on the powerful Vulcan gauntlets. The transformation was striking, he looked like he was ready for an all-out battle. With urgency, he turned to Beru. "Let's go." The two raced through the dungeon, silence pressing in on them, tension building with every step. Finally, they reached a door bathed in an eerie green glow, and the air was thick with the coppery scent of blood. Inside, a grim sight awaited. The floor was littered with bodies, discarded without care. Nearby, a monstrous rat-like creature was boasting to his companions. "Got more firewood," he sneered. One of his comrades glanced at him, commenting on his quick return. The rat creature replied with cold indifference, "The humans were no match." Another creature murmured with satisfaction, noting that soon the dungeon would open further, allowing them to summon demons. As a reward for his efforts, the rat-like creature was assigned the task of preparing the bodies for the flames. Grumbling under his breath about the fairness of it all, he got to work. Among the trio, it became clear that the towering brute was the leader, while the rat-like one was the youngest. The middle figure, sharp-eyed and clearly the strategist, praised the rat creature's efficiency, noting that his efforts had allowed them to produce stardust without interruptions. The middle creature went on to explain, his tone smug, that this stardust was a dark art, derived from a lethal combination of poison and an awakening stimulant extracted from berserk poison. His eyes glinted with a familiar, ominous cross pattern, unmistakably linked to Iterim's dark influence, much like Broki's handiwork. He added that while stardust could grant a temporary surge in magical power, it drained the life force of its user, leaving them as hollow as a husk. This forbidden method of refinement, using the Mistborn's flames, had been taught to them by an apostle, who had also provided instructions on corrupting souls to create monsters. Suddenly, one of the monsters froze, sensing something approaching rapidly. Suho was closing in, faster than expected. The trio looked at each other, puzzled. They believed the rat creature had already eliminated all the intruders. Their confusion was short-lived as the door suddenly exploded inward with a powerful kick, crashing into the room. The rat creature reacted swiftly, slicing the door in half with a flick of his sword, his narrowed eyes fixing on the intruder. Suho and Beru made a striking entrance. But before Suho could even speak, he froze momentarily, stunned by the sight before him. 3 demonic figures stood around the Mistborn, who were bound to stakes, flames licking at their bodies in a ritualistic, horrifying scene. His mind raced to make sense of it all, but a sudden system alert interrupted his thoughts, confirming that no survivors had been lost yet. He had no time to process this revelation as a blade suddenly sliced through the air toward him. Suho arched back just in time, narrowly dodging the strike aimed at his neck. The rat monster, who had launched the attack, looked surprised at Suho's reflexes. Suho steadied himself, his gaze intense, and demanded, "Are you the one responsible for the hunters I found dead outside?" His voice cut through the tension, ready for the battle that was about to unfold. Before the rat creature could even respond, Suho landed a powerful punch, sending the monster flying back. The rat managed to brace himself with his sword, absorbing some of the impact, but he still staggered. Recognizing Suho's formidable strength, the demon leader and the strategist knew that the rat couldn't face him alone. Without delay, they pulled out their own pieces of stardust and consumed them, enhancing their magical power. Locked in fierce close combat with the rat, Suho sensed another attack approaching. The boss charged at him with a massive fist, ready to unleash a devastating blow. Sensing the trap, the rat creature quickly sidestepped, clearing the way for the boss's punch. Instinctively, Suho executed a swift backflip to avoid the oncoming strike, only to land directly in another ambush. The middle demon, who had been gathering energy, unleashed a crackling surge of electricity the moment Suho touched down. Pain surged through Suho's body as he was electrocuted, leaving him momentarily stunned. Before he could fully recover, the rat creature lunged at him again, sword poised to strike. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Suho summoned his shadow goblins. They materialized with menacing expressions, surprising the trio of demons and momentarily throwing the middle demon off his focus. Seizing this chance, Suho grabbed the middle demon's arm and threw him across the room. Regaining his footing, the middle demon exchanged a wary glance with the boss, voicing an uneasy question. Is this the same power we saw years ago, when our kind was obliterated by that man? The boss nodded grimly, but added, yes, but he's not as powerful as the Shadow Monarch. Together, we can take him down. With renewed confidence and a sharpened strategy, the three demons coordinated their attacks and quickly decimated Suho's goblin forces. Watching his shadow army crumble, fury boiled inside Suho. He could tell that resurrecting his fallen goblins would be pointless, they simply weren't strong enough to contend with these enemies. Individually, each demon was weaker than Brokey, but combined, they became a fearsome adversary. The scene briefly shifts to earlier that day, where Beru had asked Suho why he hadn't yet revived Brokey as a shadow soldier. Having absorbed Brokey's remains, Beru could access fragments of his memories, but Suho had held back from taking the final step. In response, Suho had explained that he needed to be fully prepared to handle Brokey's immense strength and lingering emotions from his last moments. It just hadn't felt right to Suho. Brokey had been little more than a puppet under Idaram's control, and Suho wanted to be certain that bringing Brokey back as a shadow wouldn't dishonor his memory. So he held off, wanting Gray's approval before taking that step. Then, unexpectedly, Gray approached Suho with a soft smile, offering his blessing. Gray longed to be reunited with his friend, even if it meant in death. Returning to the present, Suho gripped his shadow dungeon key, channeling a surge of dark energy through it as he invoked his shadow extraction ability. Shadow energy pulsed violently, filling the space with a foreboding atmosphere. Suho called out with a resolute voice, "Brokey, if vengeance is what you seek, I'll give you the chance now. Arise." With that command, the shadows stirred, and Brokey emerged, a towering, terrifying presence, even at his base level. His roar shook the dungeon walls, echoing with primal rage. The trio of demons froze, their faces etched with horror as they recognized the shadow. The middle demon's eyes widened, disbelieving. Brokey had returned, and standing by his side was the very man who had once defeated him. Beru, refusing to be overshadowed, quipped, "Seems the numbers are fair now, with Brokey and me on Suho's side." Suho's expression was cold and unyielding as he gave the signal. "Then let's get started." With that, he and Brokey lunged forward, clashing fiercely with the demon trio. The battle began in earnest, each side pouring their strength into every strike, shaking the dungeon's foundations. Then, suddenly, the entire dungeon's blue glow shifted to a sinister red. Everyone could feel it, something major was coming. As the chaos raged on, a figure slipped silently through the shadows, watching from a distance. Her identity was concealed, leaving an air of mystery about her allegiance. Was she here as backup for Suho or reinforcement for the demons? Her answer, hidden beneath her calculating gaze, would soon become evident in the escalating conflict. The woman, watching the brutal struggle unfold before her, furrowed her brows in confusion. "How on earth did I end up here?" she muttered. A wry smile crept onto her face as a thought crossed her mind. Did some demon summon me for a sacrifice, or just target practice? Her musings shifted to sharp focus when she realized who the combatants were. The woman could hardly believe what she was seeing, a shadow soldier locked in a brutal fight with a demon. Things were definitely taking an odd turn. Meanwhile, Suho and the youngest demon clashed in a battle that felt like something out of legend, their blows ringing loud and sharp in the dark. Suho, with his Vulcan gauntlets gleaming, looked like a true brawler, deflecting the demon's sword strikes as if they were nothing but pesky insects. Then, spotting a split-second opening, Suho delivered a crushing kick straight into the demon's stomach. The demon's eyes bulged as he staggered back, gasping as though he'd taken a bite out of the hottest pepper imaginable, his pride as bruised as his body. Wasting no time, Suho pressed his advantage, aiming to put the demon down and free himself up to take on the others. Just as he prepared to strike the final blow, a bright, crackling surge of energy hurtled his way. Fantastic, an electric surprise, Suho thought dryly, twisting to dodge as the bolt forced him to step back, putting some unwanted distance between him and his target. It seemed the middle demon wasn't there just to cheer on his teammate, the electric blast was his attempt to rescue the younger one. So, they're running a full-on family business here, Suho mused sarcastically, unimpressed with the interference. The middle demon barked orders to his younger comrade, warning, "Stay sharp. One mistake, and you're done for." Annoyed, Suho knew that this team's coordinated attacks were going to be a major headache. His mana was draining steadily from maintaining his bond with Gray, and he couldn't afford to let the fight drag on. Meanwhile, even Brokey was struggling against the demon leader, his strength far below its prime. Suho realized he needed to find a way to split up the trio if he wanted any chance of taking them down individually. Just as he was racking his brain for a solution, an unexpected event turned the tide, a stroke of luck that might just tip the scales. Out of nowhere, Esil suddenly sprang into the fray, landing between Suho and the demons. Both sides paused, utterly bewildered by her entrance. With a fierce expression, she declared, "Tell me where Mr. Sung Jinwoo is, or prepare to face the consequences." Suho blinked, caught off guard. Wait, she's looking for my dad, he thought, astonished. He had no clue who this stranger was, nor why she appeared as if she'd just stumbled out of some disaster. Meanwhile, Beru, Suho's faithful shadow ant, looked more disappointed than any giant insect had a right to. He approached her cautiously and managed, with an almost painful amount of restraint, to ask, "Esil, what are you doing here? Why did you come?" Esil's face brightened at the sound of his voice. Without considering the chaos around them, she rushed over and scooped him up in a delighted hug. "Beru, I can't believe it. You're here too," she squealed with surprising enthusiasm, giving him a once-over. "Wait, why are you so small? And, oh my goodness, you're so cute." Her grin was infectious, completely oblivious to the serious situation they were in. The questions poured out in rapid fire. Where's Mr. Sung Jinwoo? And who's that other human standing over there? She pointed at Suho, who now looked like he was struggling to process everything happening around him. Beru, teetering on the edge of patience, managed to hold his irritation in check, replying simply, "It's a long story." The two demons, meanwhile, exchanged skeptical glances, wondering who exactly this newcomer was. After a few moments of assessment, they reached a quick decision. "Yep, she'll make the perfect sacrifice for our next batch of Stardust." But the middle demon, the strategist, warned, "Hold on, if she knows our enemies and joins them, things could get complicated." Esil, however, remained entirely oblivious to the demon's calculations and thrilled to be reunited with her old friend Beru. To her, this was nothing short of a happy reunion. If Beru was here, surely Jinwoo must be all right too. But Beru, ever the realist, cut through her enthusiasm with a hint of urgency, muttering, "Hey, Esil, we can catch up later. Right now, we have a battle to finish. We're kind of in the middle of a fight here, so since you're already here, why not give us a hand?" Beru said, as if Esil had just shown up with a surprise delivery. He waved her toward the demons at the back, casually assigning her to deal with them like it was no big deal. Esil blinked, her expression shouting, "Wait, what?" Meanwhile, Suho was still standing there, his mind racing to catch up. Who is this person? And where have I seen her before? He thought, thoroughly confused. But the demons weren't about to let her arrival throw off their plan. The middle demon sneered, "Let's take her first. She's injured, and we could use her blood for more Stardust." With that, he signaled to the others, clearly eager to move. Just then, Suho's memory sparked faintly. "Hold on, I think I've seen her before, but I can't quite place it," he murmured, scratching his head. Then, noticing her weakened state, he questioned, "Can she even take on these guys?" But Beru's confidence was unwavering. "No need to worry," he assured, almost smugly. "Low-ranking demons like these are no threat to her. That's Esil, the eldest daughter of the latter household, a noble demon. The Shadow Monarch spared her when he wiped out her world. Her strength is equivalent to an S-rank hunter." Suho's eyes lit up, practically buzzing with excitement at the thought of seeing an S-rank hunter in action. But just as he was anticipating an impressive display, reality took an abrupt turn. The youngest demon lunged at Esil, and with one swift, brutal strike, sent her sprawling. Her weapon flew from her grip, and she skidded across the ground like a forgotten rag doll. Suho and Beru stared in stunned silence, their excitement deflating instantly. This is not S-rank material," Suho muttered, his disappointment painfully clear. Face down in the dirt, Esil slowly, painfully dragged herself back toward them, looking like she'd just survived a disastrous party she was ready to leave. Beru, barely concealing his irritation, leaned down and asked sharply, "What happened to you? How did you get this weak? Even your mana levels are pathetic?" Esil winced, but before she could respond, Suho and Beru exchanged a look of resignation, their hopes for backup officially dashed. Tears welling up, Esil sniffled miserably. "It's not my fault. Half a year ago, there was a rebellion. My entire household fell, and while I was escaping, they took my blood, my powers, everything," she whimpered, looking up at Beru with the saddest puppy dog eyes. "Can you lend me some of your power?" Beru didn't even bother responding. He simply turned his back with a withering, disappointed glare that could rival any disapproving dad. Esil's lip quivered, and she pouted as if denied her favorite candy. You're so mean, she whined, while Suho looked on, deadpan. Perfect. Now there are 2 people around here with no powers. Just fantastic. Suddenly, the boss demon, who had overheard every word, laughed darkly. Did you hear that, boys? She's from the later household. A survivor, huh? He stepped forward with a gleam in his eye. If we consume her blood, we'll grow even stronger? Suho groaned. Right back to square one. If only I could separate them for a one-on-one fight, I'd take them down without a problem. But then, Beru, ever the tactician, raised his hand with a smirk, red energy swirling around him. I think I have a brilliant solution, he said, voice dripping with smug confidence. I've got some mana back, and I'm about to put it to good use. He activated his skill, Harsh Orders, directing a surge of red aura into Esil. Her stats shot up by 50%, but as a trade-off, she also got hit with a nasty side effect, a curse of insanity. Go get M, you useless demon? Beru barked, thoroughly enjoying himself. Foaming at the mouth, Esil charged forward, her eyes blazing with fury as she hurled herself at the demons like a force of nature. Suho, wide-eyed, couldn't help but think, she looks utterly miserable, but hey, if it gives me a shot at some one-on-one fights, I'll take it. Seizing the chance, Suho ordered Brokey to engage the demon boss while Esil, in full berserk mode, launched herself at the middle demon with unmatched ferocity. The fight quickly turned chaotic as the rat demon leaped in, sword swinging wildly toward Esil. But just as he was about to land a hit, Suho dashed in, grabbing the rat demon in a swift headlock like he was about to pull off a wrestling move. In that moment, he knew the real fight was just beginning. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.